Commissioner Cortez Vasquez, can you hear us?
I can hear you perfectly, yes.
Great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. The agenda we have, we're going to shift it a bit, but welcome to a meeting of the Board of Directors of the Mayor's Fund to Advance New York City. My name is Marcella Tollett. I'm the Executive Director. We are going to start by recognizing a resolution that was approved via email correspondence on October 2nd, 2023. It is on page, bear with me, page 12 of your booklet, and the resolution is the appointment of Ana Almanzar as chairperson of the Board of Directors. This followed the appointment of Ana Almanzar to the role of Board of Directors member on September 19th, which came from Mayor Adams' Office of Appointments, and then his nomination also on September 19th for Ana Almanzar to be appointed as chair of the Board of Directors. That was followed by the resolution, which was voted on via email and unanimously approved. So I'm going to pass the floor to our Vice Chair, Bill Heinzen, to share some remarks before inviting our new board chair to also share some remarks.
Thank you. Is the mic on? Great, thank you. Good afternoon. I've been really fortunate in my government career to work with leaders who are smart, hardworking, decent, cool, and human. And I want to say these past 2 years have been no exception. Our outgoing chair, First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, has an incredible ability to keep things moving while she keeps things real. I think we have all experienced meeting with her in the most challenging situations and witnessed her ability to quickly intuit the issues and the personalities, to see a path forward and to set forth a plan, but also to be able to laugh at the occasional drama while also keeping things focused and moving. She began as chair of the Mayor's Fund when she was deputy mayor for strategic initiatives, and she has since taken on the role of first deputy mayor. Sheena, we are all very grateful for your service to the board. We will miss your presence, but please remember, we know where to find you, and we are going to keep coming to you for your wisdom and your perspective. Now, we have a new deputy mayor for strategic initiatives, still new, Ana Almanzar, and we welcome her today as our new chair. Ana joins us with a depth of public, private, and not-for-profit sector experience, most recently at Mother Cabrini Health Foundation, planning and implementing programs aimed at reducing poverty in New York City. She exemplifies the amazing type of New Yorker who was born somewhere else, in her case, the Dominican Republic, but immerses herself in the institutions of the city, from Hostos to Columbia College to Columbia University, and who dedicates her career to making New York City a better place in every neighborhood. My time working with her has been brief, but intense. And in the deep, immersive experience that is City Hall, I feel like I have known her for years. Like her outgoing chair, Ana has the ability to grasp a situation very quickly and to see past the rhetoric and the smoke. She understands the importance of seeking consensus, but also the importance of making decisions and bringing them to life, also known as getting stuff done. I won't use the term BS detector in a public meeting, but I will say that in my experience, she has a great ability to see through pretense, self-importance, and action plans that lack action, always focusing on what it is we are trying to do and how to do it. Deputy Mayor, we are very excited to welcome you as a fellow board member and as our new chair.
I'm going to pull this thing closer to me because I don't project well. So, good afternoon and thank you, Bill. It's been an enormous pleasure and honor to work with you, and to hear the introduction makes me smile because no one knows you better than yourself, you think, but that was great. I thank you, and I know that Bill and I have been very close, working on weekends, which is very exciting, and now to be part of the board of the fund brings us to work even closer, and thank you, Marcella, for your leadership. I echo Bill's sentiment about the outgoing chair, our first deputy mayor, Sheena Wright. who had led the fund in an incredible manner. I am honored to even start thinking about sitting on her seat at the moment. But as she told me when we first met, and I told her, how am I going to fill your shoes? And she reminded me, just bring your own, which makes it a lot easier. And I'm grateful for that and for her leadership, not only as the board chair of the fund, but also as the leader in second in command of the administration, always looking for how we can make the life of our fellow New Yorkers better. I also want to acknowledge the incredible honor that it is for me to work along our fellow board members, our beautiful commissioners who have dedicated their entire life to public service. She tells me, I'm smaller than I actually look, because she's a giant leader, Commissioner Pinnock, as well as Commissioner Lauren Cortez Vasquez, who is online. She has been a fearless leader in the Latino community, fighting always to make sure that we are sitting at the table and that we are part of the conversation, and also part of the decision-making team throughout not only the city, but the state. So thank you to our both commissioners, as well as our colleague, hope to call soon friend, Bill Hansen, as well as Marcela's leadership in the fund. I know that it is an interesting time. It is a very demanding time for all of us, both in terms of time and resources, and we hope that my time as the board chair helps build partnership both within government and outside of government to help us meet the need of our fellow New Yorkers, especially what we're looking at. Our newest New Yorker, as Bill mentioned, was born abroad. I'm a foreign-born American. I'm very proud of having done that, and I hope that the work of the fund not only helps our long-living New Yorkers, but also the ones who are coming in as we see them every day, joining our beautiful diversity, the beautiful diversity of the city. It is my pleasure, and I cannot wait to start getting stuff done with the fund, as Bill pointed out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's lovely.
Welcome, Member Black.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Bill, for that great introduction, and DM Anna for those lovely remarks. We are honored to have your leadership, and we're going to keep getting it done. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to jump into reviewing and approving minutes from two of our most recent meetings. The first is the meeting that took place on June 6th of the Board of Directors. You can find those minutes on page 1 through 3 of your booklet. I will pause for any comments or edits.
None.
If there are none, I'll ask for a motion to approve these minutes.
Second.
Thank you. The minutes are approved. Next, we have the minutes from our October 5th Finance and Audit Committee meeting, which starts on page 4, pages 4 through 6. Please take a moment to review and highlight any comments or recommended edits. If there are none, I will ask for a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Cortez Vasquez?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Thank you. Minutes for the Finance and Audit Committee meeting from October 5th, sorry, that's a typo, are approved. Next, this isn't for approval so much as reflection and any needed discussion, which is the management letter response to the fiscal year 2023 financial statement audit. Our auditors, the EFPR group, presented the audited financial statements at the most recent Finance and Audit Committee meeting. Following that meeting, there was email correspondence and discussion of a response to the findings and sharing information of our corrective action plan for both the management records, revenue, and expenses, during the year based on cash receipts and the loss and gains and revenue related to the investment account. The plan is to send this management letter response to our auditors. Prior to doing so, I want to pause to see if there are any comments or edits recommended for this document. That starts on page 7.
I think, if I may, I think we have a recommendation to, she said that there could have been to be a response to the management letter, and we discussed it at a subsequent meeting of the organization committee, and I believe that letter will be before us now.
That's correct.
Okay, great. So are we approving the letter at this point, or are we just ratifying the audit?
So the audit was ratified at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting that took place earlier this month. This is for any discussion of the management letter response that's included. If there are no comments or edits, we can move forward with this letter and send it to the auditors.
Lorraine, do you want us to would you like the board to hold, or the mayor's fund to hold on sending the letter so you can review it again, or are you comfortable?
No, I do not want to hold up the,
Okay.
our response to the audit. I'm quite comfortable with our conversation and review, we're fine. We should move forward. Thank you so much for that opportunity.
Great.
Great. So.
I agree.
Do you want to take a vote on it? or-
Do we need, is it something?
I don't think we need to
I
vote
don't think
on
we
it.
need to
No,
vote.
okay. There are no comments or edits. We don't need to take a vote on this, but just noting for the record that everybody is in agreement with the letter as it stands. Great. You will all be copied on the correspondence to the auditors. Moving on to the next item, this is like record time. I will just highlight a couple of items from the executive director's report before we move to our program highlight. I want to highlight some staff changes that are noted here. As you all know, we have, as of September 19th, a new Director of Finance and Operations, Camaria Brousseau. We also have made some staff changes, both in the structure of roles and the personnel in those roles. So previously, we had a Director of Programs and Legal Counsel. After thorough review of the roles and responsibility and a desire to streamline and clarify distinct roles, we split those two into two separate jobs. So we now have a General Counsel, who is Najma Ali Sherman, who is formerly the Director of Programs and Legal Counsel, and we have a Director of Programs as a separate role, which has been taken on by our previous Senior Programs and Policy Manager, Shannon Allen. We also promoted a Development Associate, Hannah Forgeron, to Corporate Partnerships Manager. So there's been a lot of great advancements and shifts in our staff structure. That is expected to continue as we build out the rest of the team throughout the year. Another programmatic highlight I just want to emphasize is the announcement of the Diversity in Journalism Fund, which was announced July 22nd. We are launching that in collaboration with the Mayor's Office, and this fund seeks to expand access to educational opportunities for New York City students of color and increase diversity within journalism. We will be raising funds. It has for this fund. It has a goal of $500,000, and the structure of the initiative is still in development, and we'll be collaborating with city partners to clarify the strategies and the intended outcomes of the initiatives that'll be funded through this work. And I encourage everyone to, after the meeting, review the executive director's report, and we can follow up next meeting or in between meetings with any questions or requests for additional details. With that, I'm going to ask our Director of Programs to briefly introduce our guests from Service Design Studio. As a ongoing practice in our Board of Directors meetings, we are highlighting our programmatic partnerships. You know, governance is critical, but we don't want to lose sight of the impact of our work and make sure that we're holding that central to how we celebrate, acknowledge, and challenge ourselves to move forward. So Shannon, I will give the floor to you to introduce our partners.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Can you come over near the mic so you can be picked up?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Shannon Allen, the Director of Programs here at the Mayor's Fund. We're pleased to present the NYC Opportunity Team here. In partnership with the Mayor's Fund in 2020, they launched their Design by Community Fellowship Program. So they're going to tell us a little bit more about the fellowship today and the Service Design Studio. So NYC Opportunity Team, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. How should we set up ourselves physically?
I think perhaps come over here closest to this mic if possible.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's wireless. Yeah.
I'll do like a little that way.
With the signal.
And as an update, unfortunately, we just have about 10 minutes.
Yeah. We'll be quick. Marathon. We do have these cute little packets so y'all can
Thank you.
grab all this information. There are stickers. There's like a little bit of swag there. But yeah, we can sit in this very fancy chair and get into it. Is it okay if I sit here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, thank you folks for having us. It is great to be here. We are from the Service Design Studio. My name is Deanna. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a design lead at the studio.
Benzie Richardson, she, they. I'm the acting director of the Service Design Studio. And yeah, we are excited to tell you about D by C, who we partnered with Mayor's Fund on this year as a fiscal partner. We'll just go right
Skip it
into
all the way.
the Service Design Studio.
This is all the slides on who we are, background. I think y'all know this. There's us, ta-da, beautiful. Us again.
There you go. All right, so the Service Design Studio does a lot of different things, but overall, everything that we do, we try to test how government works and flip the traditional paradigm of administration on the top, and then folks who develop programs, and then contractors, and then ultimately community receiving services. And we try to center community to make public services more accessible for the people that use and administer them. So we often work directly with frontline staff and residents to design services. So D by C, Design by Community, is really our flagship program, putting our practice where our mouth is.
Right, yes, thank you, Lindsay. So we're gonna be talking to y'all about D by C. We ran this program, but I'll back it up a little bit and I'll give a little overview on what the Design by Community program is. So you can think of it as a partnership between these three circles here. We have the nonprofit community-based organizations. We have community leaders. These are fellows who are from the community. And then there's us, the Service Design Studio. So these three parties work, right, over 6 months to conduct a service design research process. And don't worry, we'll walk you through what that looks like really, really quickly. But the whole point of Design by Community is to hear directly from the community about their needs, wants, and dreams for their futures. And what this looks like in practice, right? There's these three sections, right? We have our CBO partner. The CBO partner is usually responsible for like the admin, kind of like getting the fellows paid, also giving us the connections into the community. Us at the Service Design Studio, we have the service design background, so we kind of are like the TA, the curriculum kind of background. And then the fellows themselves lead community research. They're on the ground doing the work. And the whole point of the Design by Community program is to kind of prove, right, that communities, it's to build the case for community-led practices within city government, right? It's that same kind of like triangle, circle program that Lindsay kind of talked us through, right? It's switching that on its head. So everything that we develop through this program is from the community and then developed by these different touch points throughout the city. All right, so that was a really quick walkthrough, but I feel like the easiest way to understand the Design by Community program is to see how we did it in actual practice. So this is the program that happened in 2023, that beautiful flyer that went out, you saw all of us. This is kind of how we did that. So we released our RFP, and Phipps Neighborhoods, which is a nonprofit CBO, they are a huge service provider in the Bronx. They're kind of like a NYCHA service provider. And they submitted and they were interested in this topic of digital access in the Bronx specifically. So how do we provide digital tools, digital education for communities and families in the Bronx? And these folks are Kari and Allison. They worked with us really closely throughout the 6 months. But with Phipps Neighborhoods, we partner with these folks and we hired 6 community fellows. They're all lovely people, but these folks have like a great diversity of skills within their communities. So either being like a tech expert or a graphic designer or a documentarian, we had like a huge variety of folks. So these were the folks doing the work, and this was our team. Speeding through it. So this was our team, and then this is the service design process. So this is essentially the research process that we did together. We're gonna go through it quick. So the first stage, is setting the stage. That's essentially just doing your background research. So defining, what is the Bronx? What's happening in the Bronx with technology? What is digital access? So this is us and our groups getting to know each other, getting essentially centralized. And in this process, we wrote a research question. So how might we provide a multicultural and intergenerational space for Bronx residents to explore digital tools? So this was our way for the entire team, to be centralized on what we're looking for and our goal throughout the 6 months. And that kind of prepared us for this talk with people stage, This is actually going into community, speaking with folks directly, So it's finding out what the issues are on the ground and talking with folks on their ideas, What they would like to see from the city. So we did have our how might we, so we know we wanted to talk with Bronx residents, but we also knew we wanted to talk to a multicultural and intergenerational community. So we talked to youth, adults, and elders in the Bronx. And then this is what this looks like, Our fellows led this process entirely. So this is Nicole doing a focus group with seniors at the West Farms Food Pantry, I believe. But hearing directly from folks, We also have Candace at Lehman College, so we touched the CUNY campuses. We got to talk to students. Then we also have William and Karen on the right doing a tabling at a farmer's market. So these fellows were on the ground doing the work, talking to folks, talking to 75 Bronx residents. Yeah, very directly.
And everybody got paid.
Everybody got paid that we talked to, yes. Compensation was a part of that. So we don't have time for this, but as mentioned, one of our fellows was a documentarian, and she spent a lot of her time developing, a film on the process, so you can hear directly from these folks. We don't have time to watch today, but the link is in your packets, and we can send this out as well. But great. It's really beautiful. I'm also in it, so humble brag. But yeah, so essentially so this is the service design process, After we talk to people, we have so much information. We put it all up on the wall, and then we come up with ideas together, So we literally had a really collaborative session with folks, talking together, coming up with ideas that Phipps could essentially lead through this process. And for context, Phipps had the idea to build a makerspace within the Bronx community, They had a makerspace is essentially like a room or like a room that has workshops and classes and materials that folks can turn to. So the ideas that we're coming up with here are things that they could do with the makerspace, classes, types of workshops and programs. And those ideas went into a beautiful implementation plan, which y'all don't have, but it does exist. This was written by the fellows together. They validated this work. And the fellows also had control over a $38,000 budget. So they apportioned it, they decided how the money was spent and where the money went. And then they handed these 2 things off to Phipps to essentially implement. Yes. Okay. Another thing to note, typically in a service design process, we would practice these things out. We would do small prototypes and tests. We didn't have the time for this because we learned, right, we need a lot more than 6 months. We're not a month more than 6 months. But we did hand off to FIPS, and FIPS is actively working on workshop ideas. They're doing a soft launch in November. So this work is happening in real time and coming into fruition.
They're going to be teaching video drone technology, so anyone who wants to learn about that can go to that workshop.
Yeah, and you can see even that's like the makerspace room. They have like a smart board set up. They have a cute colored room. But an acknowledgement I want to give before my time is up speaking. A lot of design by community, right? I think for the focus of this presentation, we focused on these 2 deliverables, right? The fellows put all this work, we did all this research, it was beautiful, right? But design by community is not only about the structural change of giving community members power, it's also about supporting these fellows on the interpersonal scale. I wish I had equally as enough time to talk about these fellows and the work that they did and how I've seen them grow. But I will say over the 6 months, we did meet with them monthly on their own personal goals. This was essentially like a professional development experience for them. So we were trying to be very intentional about like creating change on this broader, beautiful scale, but also, right, caring for the folks that we're working with and supporting their growth. And we did that through like the documentarian. We also had a graphic designer. We had folks who wanted to do more public speaking and like to network with folks in the nonprofit industry. So we tried to do that within that 6-month timeline. Anything you want to add, Lindsay?
I think you can go forward.
Okay, cool.
So this is the second iteration of this program. The first one was launched during COVID. So we keep continuing to evolve the model. We always learn lessons of how to do it next. So for cohort 3, we're looking to propel a smaller CBO, one that can build their network and impact. And we also are looking to help a smaller CBO become a viable CBO city vendor by partnering together. So that's another benefit. And then we're hoping to find a smaller CBO who could also engage those fellows post-fellowship in a more sustainable way. So those are our goals of modifying the program model for next year. And then as far as like D by C for New York City, we're building a how-to toolkit that's specifically contextualized for NYC agencies and the various procurement rules that they all live in, so that we can replicate and scale this model. It really is something that a variety of agencies can pick up and test. So we're also considering trying to find partners, maybe the CEC or DYCD, other types of agencies that put participatory models in their mission. And so right now we're rewriting that RFP for cohort 3 and actively seeking funding. And that's where we're going.
All right, and we did it. What's our time?
I think we can take a couple of minutes for a few questions, if there are any from the board.
How do you select the fellows? Oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
What's the selection process for the fellows?
So for this year, we had folks, anyone that was interested in digital access for their community, that was kind of like the draw. We went to coffee shops, we went to CBOs, we put it all over in the community where we could. We got about 65 folks from the community that applied. And then, and we're mindful, folks could apply with a written application, they could do an audio, they could do a video. We tried to make it very accessible. And then we have like phone screenings, and then we have an interview process. And then we also have a semi-finalist workshop where we can invite folks in. Everybody gets paid to come for the day, $100, and we see how folks work together, hear them pitch some quick ideas, and then from there we select the fellows.
Thank you.
I also want to add that we did work with FIPS on hiring these fellows, so it was a very like participatory process. It wasn't just like me and Lindsay, like, we're going to hire this. Like, we talked to like I would say every single one of the 65 people that applied between us and FIPS. So yeah, we put in the work.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not a low-lift program, but it's a very meaningful program.
Very intentional.
But what data do you use to inform what your cohorts will focus on, right? So for the first presentation, you talked about digital access, specifically in the Bronx. And then it looks like now you're focusing on something that could actually be a good connection even with small business services, right? When we're talking about vendors, you know, really promoting MWBEs for the city. So what data do you use to inform what your cohorts will focus on?
So in the RFP, we give a variety of options, like topic areas. It can be like community joy, small businesses, it could be digital access. There's like, we try to think about areas that our team has some sort of familiarity with, so then the technical capacity building can be like informed. So the CBO who's applying tells us the general area, and that's as much decision-making power that the CBO has, and then once the fellows come in, they determine what the project will actually be.
Got it.
But that's something we're trying to test a little more this year with that smaller CBO that might have a more granular focus.
I like that you're also building, and you're trying to measure how you're building the interpersonal growth and growth skills for the fellows, and I have to assume that this is a time of tremendous growth for them. I don't focus on the negative to focus on the negative, but sometimes I think I learn more. But I was surprised for stakeholder engagement, where everyone is hitting all of these, except stakeholder engagement is 67%. And why do you think that was, given the whole nature of the project and the fact that they're out in the streets?
I think that the fellows learned how hard it is to do community outreach.
Yeah.
You can't just go out in the street and start. You can, but you'll only get such quality responses, right? So it takes a lot of effort to like introduce yourselves, get in the door, and then talk to people. So we expanded the talk to people phase to be 2 months. So I think it's purely a time thing, and it was also winter.
Yeah,
So
I think
cold.
it's really reflected like city employees that come from grad school. Maybe they're like a great policy analyst and they've gone to grad school, but they don't have that stakeholder engagement.
Yeah, exactly.
That can be-
Actually reaching
that's the
people
area
in a
I think
meaningful
it's
way
work.
takes a lot of work, but it's worth it.
I was also going to say, I think in running the program this year, I think we learned about how for future cohorts we want to be especially mindful during the talk to people stage and taking that slow and providing like enough support during that time. That was definitely something that I like had to learn, because it is a hard process, right, to go into the street and talk to folks. But I think it was also because of like the time of the program was so short, so we kind of were like, okay, we gotta go, and then we're like, no, this part needs to be slow. Stakeholder engagement needs to be slower.
And they set their
hard
goals
work.
very high. They're like,
Yeah.
I'll talk to 100 people.
Yeah. Big hopes.
Right, we'd love to
That's
dream,
really
but
good.
they set their goals very high.
Got it.
So we did talk to 75 folks, which we think is great, but yeah, they had higher numbers in mind.
So I'll just want to share one thought before we close. But one of the great parts of working with the Mayor's Fund is we work with everybody, right? So as you all think about the different connections you want to make with different city offices and agencies to support the work and create, whether it's connections to the Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Services, or if you're working with community-based organizations that have like a social enterprise aspect, maybe working with SVS, the We NYC program. There are these different connection points that the Mayor's Fund, your program liaison, can help you to build those connections so that you're not recreating the wheel and really tapping into the rest of the city resources that your partners can have access to.
That's great. Yeah, we were thinking about the social enterprise.
You read our
for this
minds.
next-
Yes.
You were putting down work.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being a great partner to the Mayor's Fund and helping us have impact through your incredible work. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have time for new business, so I will ask our directors if there are any items for our next Board of Directors meeting. Please email me and I will put them on the agenda. With this, I will ask for a motion to close this meeting of the Board of Directors.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. And that is it. Thank you for your patience and flexibility, and this meeting is closed. Thank you, Commissioner Cortez Vasquez.
Thank you.
Halloran.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you for accommodating me.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for